Welcome to RPG Book Club LongCast, the podcast where we play a minuscule part of a maxicule video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm Maddie Grace Webben.
I'm David Bernard Hauk.
And today we will be talking about the ending of .hack GU Volume 1 Rebirth. And it will be an ending that will not feel like an ending almost at all, because it's a big old cliffhanger, and we're going to start talking about the second game next week. So it's a weird feeling to be finishing a game, but not at all.
You know, we say second game, but I've realized this wasn't really an experiment in making a single story with consistent characters and stats that stretches across 4 games, or in this case 3. It really was a way of making you pay 4 times as much for one video game.
Yeah, very much. Like,
this game is 20 hours long, and assuming that the original games were kind of the same way, 20 times 4, that's 80. That's the length of Persona 3. Each of these games cost the price of a full video game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, it's not like 20 hours can be a fine length for a video game if it's, like, a full experience. This is not a full experience.
No. I actually do think that this game has, like, a beginning and middle and end. Like, the ending, though it's a cliffhanger, it is very much like the kind of cliffhanger ending you get from a story that has a cliffhanger ending, but also nothing fucking happens in this game. I don't know if those two problems are really the same. It's just that the two problems go together to give this impression, right? But if you want to be more generous, you could say that they invented episodic games before it was a thing.
Yeah, they did episodic games before, consoles downloading new episodes was a thing.
So that's cool.
Did these games cost a full? I guess back then it would be $50.
I think they were all 40.
I don't know. Let me see. I cannot find it anywhere that's not secondhand.
I'm pretty sure it was sold for regular video game MSRP, which at the time was usually either 40 or 50, I believe, somewhat arbitrarily.
Yeah.
Who can say?
It wasn't like the PS1 days where sometimes the game would just be $20. That was awesome back when that used to happen sometimes.
Yeah.
I just had a N64 as a kid, and that didn't happen there.
Nope.
Yeah. With PlayStation 1, it'd be like, you go to like Walmart, because if you're me, that's where you buy video games as a kid, because it's the only place you can buy video games, and they'd have like Final Fantasy 9, and that'd be like $40, right? But then you'd see like some dumb racing game that no one gives a shit about, and it is new, and it'd be like $20, right? For like Jet Moto 2 or whatever, or maybe even like a Crash Bandicoot game. Maybe even would be like 20. But then so I think 20 and 40 are usually your price points, and then of course it crept up. And how much did those games cost, Bernard? Those fucking cartridges, what, like 80?
Oh, I mean, I don't remember exactly. I just remembered it was a big deal when I bought my first one, which I believe was Paper Mario. We mainly rented.
Same. Dude, renting video games, that's like a very specific thing that only our that like you have to be in a very specific generation and a very specific economic class to have rented video games.
Yeah. Yeah, and like Paper Mario was crazy because it was an RPG that saved on cartridge. So like when we rented Final Fantasy, it didn't matter. We had our own memory card. But when we rented Mario, we had to be like, okay, we didn't finish it this week. I need this cart back. I need you to process this cart. Do not lose it. I'm watching you. Give it back to me. I have to beat Paper Mario.
No, man. The way we do it as a kid for SNES games, you put a little secret mark on the cartridge somewhere where it's really small so no one notices it. And then next time you come to the store, you grab the same cartridge if they have it. And then you pray to the gods of gaming that no one saved over your file. Yeah, that is how I played Mario RPG when I was a kid. That's how I played. That's the one I remember, but there were a couple more.
I've been using GameFly recently, but it's not the same as going to a store.
It's really not. No, it's not.
It's not the same, man.
Yeah. RIP rental stores in general. Sorry you were killed by something that isn't nearly as good as you or actually sufficiently replaces you functionally.
Mm-hmm.
Bullshit.
Yeah, it's like I don't miss the hassle of having to go and do it just to find something to watch, and I do enjoy being able to just be like, you know what, I want to watch blah 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 today, and I can just go and pick it out. But also, like, there was the opportunity for you to accidentally get something good on accident, which you don't really get.
If you go on Netflix nowadays, you got access to a very, very huge variety of movies. It's too hard to really pick one when you can pick anything. But also, it's not that big a variety of movies because there's lots of stuff that, like, it doesn't have any, like, weird obscure stuff, pretty much. So you have a giant, but also not that great selection. Whereas in a rental store, it's a slightly smaller selection because if you're limiting it to movies that, you know, you are interested in, like you go to the action section, the sci-fi section, but then you'll just see some movie you haven't fucking heard of and you'll fucking get it. Anyway, shout outs to brick and mortar rental stores. There's a great one in Austin and there's a great one in Oakland. So keep on keeping on, boys.
The one in Austin is awesome because they have Google Street View inside their store, and I was trying to find a copy of
what?
Yeah, you can pop your little yellow.
Right?
Maybe I don't remember which one. I think that is the one.
Yeah.
But I was trying to find a copy of New Super Mario Brothers Deluxe for the Switch to go and play with my nephews, and I was like, I don't have the money to buy it, but surely I can rent a video game somewhere here in Austin. And so I went on Google Street View to find their video game section to see if they had rentable Switch games. They only have PS3 that I could see in the Street View, but
that rules.
Still was great. I remember when Game Crazy went out of business in Waco, and I got Blue Dragon for $1 for spring break in Baylor, and it was a great spring break.
I'll buy that for $1.
Hell yeah! I also got The Darkness, not worth $1. Did not like The Darkness one. I hear The Darkness 2 is good. I hear The Darkness 2 is phenomenal, but I did not like The Darkness 1 at all.
Nice. All I remember The Darkness 1 is it has that amazing, like, this is back before this was a thing, that, like, single unbroken shot kind of thing for its, like, opening 10-minute ass cutscene. It was great. I don't remember the game itself. Anyway, sorry for that long tangent, but whatever. Shout outs to fucking brick and mortar stores. Go support your local one if you have one, listeners. Yeah.
We don't have a lot to talk about today anyway, so we can go on a tangent.
We really fucking do not. So, yeah, okay, so we're paying $40 fucking for 1/4, or in this case 1/3 of a video game, and how does this end?
So in defense of .hack GU Volume 1 Rebirth for the PlayStation 2 video game console, $49.99 at Best Buy. There's a shitload of content that we did not cover. There are like 25 quests that all have like story and more than just going into a random dungeon. There's also tons of procedurally generated dungeons you can do. There's all of the forum stuff you can hang out on. There's like your guild can do so much crap that I didn't even touch. There's a whole lot of systems. So if you paid $40 MSRP for it or whatever, you got your $40 worth, even if the story was just a little
Especially
taste.
if you were a kid and this was like the one video game you get to play this semester, you could you could enjoy yourself running around randomly generated areas doing fucking bullshit for 2 straight months because your mom will buy another video game. Yeah, I can see that, which is kind of the point of JRPGs.
Yeah.
Reading every fucking word of the lore would take a lifetime.
It took me really 45 hours for a lore percent playthrough of this game.
It really is funny how these giant, unnecessarily sprawling games are different when you're an adult from when you're a kid. When you're an adult, you're like, not just I don't have time for that, but also like, what's the artistic value of that even, regardless of whether I have time for it? Whereas when you're a kid, you're like, no, the artistic value is that there's a lot of it. Because I don't get to play that many video games because I'm poor.
Yeah, I played Infection. I do not remember anything about the plot to Infection. I remember realizing that I could like farm grunties if I went in randomly generated worlds, and I did that, and that's all I did. I don't even remember playing any of the main plot. I just did systems because I was a dumbass kid, and there was a whole lot of it to fuck around with. So
yeah, exactly. So there's they serve a function, and you know, I mean, these things are for, you know, they are for children. Let's be serious here.
Like all video games, it's
like
for children.
Every video game ever made, it is for small children.
And not for nothing, when they made the remake, they put all 3 chapters plus a bonus chapter all in the same box for $40 MSRP.
Exactly. They're like, okay,
for
fine.
For the future, they knew it was not going to work for the future. You needed
that
the
shit
whole
wasn't
thing.
Gonna fly.
Yeah.
As a moonlight shines on my meter frozen days of night begin to fall anew. I look at the sky, that distant melody, it always sets me in school. And afraid at each man into the dark.
So I open up the game and I get a message that I have 9 unread emails, and I'm like, fuck! No! I don't want to read all this. But luckily 8 of them are just friends congratulating you for winning the tournament, so I was very relieved. The only important one is from CC Corp telling us how to get to High Brasail, the Isle of Kings, for the crowning ceremony. So we go to High Brasail, the Isle of Kings, for the crowning ceremony, and all the crowning ceremony is the announcer from the arena goes apeshit for a bit, and then someone hands us a sword, and it's over. So that was cool. They hand us
a sword that's still not as good as the one that Adelie gave us before the finals, so...
I didn't even check, because there's... Wait, is there any gameplay this week? Is there any fighting or dungeon this week? No,
you fight the final boss.
Oh, that's right. You fight the final boss. That's true. There's one fight this week,
and there is one more like final dungeon quest with Pi and Kun. If you wanted to do that, I didn't because I was out of time. I normally try to do all of those things, but I did not.
I think I would have if I'd noticed. I think I was just going through the game and didn't even notice. But yeah, I didn't even.
I didn't do it because I didn't want to.
Yeah, it was one of the 9 unread emails. Kun was like, "Congratulations! Hey, if you ever want to hang out with me and Pi, let's go to Delta. Smell my mom's farts or whatever."
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so after the ceremony, the very short ceremony, we go and talk to everyone, and they all congratulate us, and Pierce III tries to kiss us, but Adelie seems to have slipped away. So we go around looking for her. And while we're looking for her, we see a cutaway to Ovan approaching her in this like area separate from the party. And he talks.
What do you call that kind of thing? It's a rotunda. No, it's not a rotunda.
It's some sort of
kind of thingy.
Gazebo.
Some sort of gazebo.
It's a romantic gazebo.
Yes, except it's like over the water instead of in a garden.
Yeah, it's dope.
So Haseo approaches her and talks to her about Haseo, and he leans towards her and says, like, your character. And then his mouth moves and we don't hear what he says. But she looks shocked. And I assumed he was telling her then that her character looks like Shino. But
Yeah, I figured he was saying that too.
Apparently that's not what he told her because
She gets
of what
even more
happens
shocked
next.
later.
Yeah.
So maybe
So
he was telling her a lore thing, like your character has a magical power to save the world or something. Maybe something like that.
Yeah,
Maybe
or
so.
we'll never find out. So Haseo rolls up and is like, Ovan, what's your deal? And Ovan, instead of telling Haseo what his deal is, insists on talking about the Twilight Brigade, even though Haseo is clearly uncomfortable with this. And Ovan tells Adelie that they were looking for a precious object back in the day, the Key of Twilight, which can grant any wish.
That's a major lore thing. As far as I know, every fucking .hack franchise I'm familiar with involves the Key of the Twilight.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's not the Key of Twilight, it's the Key of the Twilight.
Yes.
I said Key of Twilight because that's better than Key of the Twilight. But you are correct. Ovan goes on to tell Adelie about Shino and how Shino and Haseo were close, but then she went into a coma. Then he tells her that her character model is the same as Shino's. And Adelie, because she cares about Haseo for some reason and cares about what Haseo thinks of her, is really fucked up by this information. And she says that she enjoyed being with Haseo and that she wanted to continue adventuring with him, that she was happy to join him in the arena. But all this time, he was just looking at Shino, not her. And she runs off, very upset.
Exactly. Fair. Dude's an ass.
No. To be fair, he didn't invite her to the arena because he saw Shino. He invited her to the arena because he needed a healer.
Yes.
Also, the reason he kept hanging out.
She also calls that out. She was like, "If literally any other healer would have answered, you would have taken them instead of me. Or if you found one that looked more like Shino, you would have taken them instead of me."
Also,
I was like,
if you really
"Yikes,
wanted to
get
be an
him."
ass, then when she said, "You only hung out with me because I look like Shino," the more accurate answer would have been, "Actually, I never really chose to hang out with you at all. You kind of just imposed yourself on me."
Yeah. So the idea is that Haseo hung out with Adelie because he saw Shino in her. What the fuck did Adelie see in Haseo to hang out with him?
No fucking idea. She just likes... Sometimes girls just like someone and won't fucking get off of them. Even though they suck. Why do girls always like the bad
I guess so.
boys? That kind of thing.
So, Syllabus and Gaspard run up, and they make no comment about their friend running off crying, even though with the way the area is laid out, they would have had to have passed her.
Maybe her slash emote ran out, and so she wasn't slash crying anymore. She was just walking by because it's a video game.
So Syllabus and Gaspard ask Haseo what he's doing alone out here, and Haseo's like, "What?" And he turns around, and Ovan is gone, which is freaky. Except then you remember, he just logged out. But it feels like a Batman moment for a bit. So the party's over.
Like.
Yeah.
I said, so that's what that feels like.
Yes. So the party's over, so we log out and check our email, like we always do. Syllabus emailed us saying that he's worried about Adelie since she and Haseo fought. He says he has been worried about Adelie since she and Haseo fought in the arena locker room. He says we need to talk to her. But Yata also emailed us saying that there's an emergency. So we see a cutaway to Adelie, and she's returning to that giant wall that Tri-Edge marked. And she remembers Ovan telling her that Haseo is looking for Tri-Edge. He says, "Go and look for Tri-Edge yourself. It'll be fine. You won't have any problems if you just use your ability to hear." He says finding Tri-Edge is something only she can do. So we go to talk to Yata. He says Atali has always been one of their targets for investigation because she is another Epitaph user
Oh
candidate.
shit!
Yeah.
Oh shit!
They weren't able to confirm this until she entered the tournament with Haseo. Yata shows us a video of Atali at the wall. She touches the tri-edge mark and gets sucked into it. Yata says there's no record of her location within the system now, even though she hasn't logged off. He tells Haseo to investigate the wall with Pi and Kun. So Haseo runs off, and then Yata has a video chat with Ovan, which having a video chat with someone inside a video game is sort of a hilarious concept.
It really is.
I love it.
Yata asks Ovan what his deal is. Ovan says he just wants to see Haseo grow. So we go to the wall with Pi and Kun, and the tri-edge mark is glowing. We approach it and get sucked into a white void. In the void, we see Atali trying to open a locker. I actually really like this area visually. It's like,
Me
it's
too.
freaky.
Actually, I want to describe the locker. So it's basically it's basically your typical JRPG like abstract no space, but it looks really good. But the locker, especially, is what I love. It's unlike anything else in the game, because everything else in the game is this weird mystical fantasy, and now you have like a literal like a normal locker like you see like you see at the gym. It's that kind of locker. Like it's a bunch of small square lockers stacked on top of each other, each with a little number saying which one it is. Oh my gosh! Actually, I'm looking at a screenshot of it right now. And it's a close-up. This one seems to say $2 on it. Is this like a pay locker that you like fucking put coins into?
Yeah.
I think they have those I think those are fairly common in Japan.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're everywhere in Japan.
And they've also got like notices on them. There's like writing on them, probably like maybe like instructions on how to use the locker, and then it just looks like an extremely utilitarian normal thing you'd see in the real world, and it's just dropped in the middle of this otherwise extremely disconnected from reality fantasy video game. I find it extremely striking, kind of Lynchian in the Twin Peaks: The Return kind of way.
Yeah, totally. I agree. It's
I'm glad y'all were struck by it too, because I was very struck by it.
Yeah, it's very striking.
It was good.
So when Haseo approaches Atali, she says that she's trying to find Tri-Edge with her own powers so that Haseo will recognize her. And that turns out to be easy because Tri-Edge shows up. And he's really creepy. He does some heavy breathing, and we can see he's got fangs instead of regular teeth.
Also, I feel it's important to say that Haseo does say when she's like, I'm trying to find Tri-Edge, he does finally say, yeah, but me being a piece of shit to you constantly and saying that you're dumb and I hate you and you're a waste of space meant that I liked you, really. And he finally admits his feelings.
He admits that he was being tsundere. He was being tsundere all along. Also, yeah. I will say, because she says, if I find Tri-Edge, then you'll finally look at me. And he goes, you idiot! Stop talking about yourself that way. She goes, you're right, I am an idiot. And it was a good little scene that we saw coming the moment she appeared on screen at the beginning of this game. And anyway, and also one more thing I want to mention that's interesting. I'm pretty sure this is the first time Tri-Edge makes any kind of utterance, because I remember being struck by his voice. He doesn't talk, he just goes that kind of thing, or or whatever. But he didn't do that before he was completely silent. So it's interesting that he's gone from being this weird force of horror to being like a character that has a voice and a body. It's I don't know. It's an interesting little lowering.
He has the same. He has the same voice actor as Kite from Dot Hack Infection as well.
So I figured that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, go on.
We fight Tri-Edge just like a regular fight. And after we kick his ass, he repairs himself by like sucking in part of the environment. And Pai's like, he repaired himself. How is that possible? And I'm like, didn't Kun do the same thing when we killed him?
Yeah.
But
Oh,
never
also,
mind. Yes.
So the fight with Tri-Edge, the regular fight, he's a real big HP sponge, but he also takes a really long time to charge his attacks, and you know this is the final boss, so you just use all your fucking mega elixirs constantly, and it was like completely anticlimactic to be the big test of your skill in the battle system.
I don't think I used a single item. Actually, I may have used a plus 200 HP once, but also like I hadn't done any leveling up since the fight with Indrans. Like I was the same level, had the same build. It was just like super fucking easy.
Yeah, it was pretty easy.
It's just every time it got like slightly scary, I had like a minute before his next attack to just heal everybody.
He did have some super fucking cool moves. He hit me with them and they looked cool. And then he had a few that I dodged where it was actually kind of cool learning the tell and learning when to dodge or block. But like, I think one of the moves, actually his one big move does hit you for a bitch ton of health. But you're right. You can also just heal yourself in between him hitting you for a bitch ton. I think I had like 1200 health and this would hit me for like 450. So you couldn't survive it 3 times. And the third time, I believe I actually saw he was going to do it, and I like blocked, or maybe I interrupted him with a skill. I forget, but I circumvented him in some way. And hey, I feel good about that. But yeah, no, it was so fucking easy. It was a stupid fight.
Yeah.
Indrans was way harder than this, and that was prior to this in the timeline, which was weird.
I guess we leveled up some, which is funny because doesn't that just prove what Haseo was saying all along? Because everyone else is like, Haseo, come do quests with us. Haseo, let's investigate Tri-Edge. Haseo, let's do things for plot reasons. And he's like, and at the beginning of the game, he's just like, I literally just want to go level up until I'm level 50 again, guys, because being at level 1 sucks. Turns out, apparently, Tri-Edge was only at like level 45 or so. So yeah, literally all Haseo had to do to beat Tri-Edge was fuck off for like 2 days and just grind, and then he would have been there.
Well, he did have to learn how to use his epitaph or his avatar. I'm sorry.
Oh, I guess phase 2 of the battle doesn't. Okay, I guess that's
and
true.
And also, Tri-Edge was really easy, but he did have his friends there helping him.
True.
So he did have to make friends.
The real Tri-Edge was the friends he made along the way.
More levels and not needed the friends.
Or he could have been like looking for group. We're going somewhere weird.
How about people who have high levels join me instead of fucking Adelie? But anyway, yeah, it's silly. Anyway, you kick the dude's fucking ass.
Yeah, and then Tri-Edge summons some sort of avatar, and it's huge, and we fight it, and the fight is fairly tough. Most of the avatar fights have honestly been pretty easy, but this one is actually pretty tough. I think it goes on a bit too long for I feel like all the dramatic weight sort of drains out by the end of it, but for the most part, it's a really fucking cool fight.
And the music.
One thing I really liked about the fight is right about the time that it was wearing on me, and I was like, yeah, this has gone on a little too long. He starts using his like fuck you Knights of the Round Table blow up Saturn ass special move like every single time, and so it like raised the stakes a little bit in the second half, which was kind of cool. But it still is.
He also
you dodge, you shoot, you slash.
He also had some very interesting tells. He has a whammo move that it's like he uses the whole time, and it's his big melee attack. It's like very clearly telegraphed, but the timing for dodging it is still like kind of tricky. So like I think I didn't manage to dodge it for like the first 4 tries. And then even after I did dodge it, I didn't get it every time. And like even though that's literally just a single challenge, like I don't know, a character comes at you, and you have to use your knowledge of geometry and your position and his position and your velocity and his velocity and it's kind of just a timing. You just got to make sure you press the dodge button not too early or not too late. And you know what? Something as simple as that can be really compelling if you do it right. And in this case, I thought it was quite compelling for because you're hitting other buttons. You're trying to shoot him. You're trying to do damage. But the whole time you're doing damage, you're like, I got to make sure I got my finger inching towards that dodge button in case I have to do the dodge because of his big whammo move. Yeah, I had a good time with it. It's the best Avatar fight in the game for sure.
And there were several times where like I was like shooting at him, and I knew if I did the Dragon Quest thing where it's like if I do one more attack, I might stun him and can go up and hit him. But I know he's coming with that whammo move any second now. Do I risk it or do I back off so I have more time to dodge?
Yeah.
And I guessed wrong over and over again. Ended up only beating him with the tiny sliver of health remaining. But it's still like that being in that headspace of like no, I can get this just one more press of square, I can squeeze it out, and
it's a little
I just
funny
love that shit.
That kind of feels like damning with faint praise, like because really what we're complimenting about it is just something that literally any good action game does. But you know what? This isn't any good action game. This is a shitty action RPG, okay? So for it to occasionally be like a real action game is cool and exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And the music was hype. So you give me a fun action gameplay and you put on some high pass music, and I fucking think it's great because it's great.
And even though I haven't played the original games, the fact that the bad guy looks like the good guy from the old games, I love mystery. That shit.
Yeah.
So after the fight, Tri-Edge fucking explodes. And they're like, well, shit, we didn't get to ask Tri-Edge what its deal was. And at this point, I think the filmmaking becomes really cool. I was like,
agreed.
Whoa, that's good, actually. So the lockers fling open, and it's freaky. And Adelie is mesmerized and walks towards them. And then Ida shit flies out of it and attacks her, and it's really freaky. It's like slamming into her and like going into her, and it's upsetting. And she falls backwards, and Aseo calls out her name, and she hits the ground. Game over. Pay $40 more, bitch.
It literally just like he literally yells her name, and she hits the ground, and then just a hard cut to black, roll credits.
It's so good.
It's dope. It's dope.
From a filmmaking standpoint, it's so good.
It's really, really good.
Yeah. I loved it. I was surprised it like cut right there because literally no denouement like at all, which you'd normally get even like especially in games that have cliffhanger endings that like are setting up the next one is like, oh, like Xehanort is still free. We need to stop him. But like now, let's all talk about what that means, so then we can have our Star Wars moment and look up at the sky as the credits roll. It's never usually like, Xehanort got away. Credits.
Yeah, and also like this game does have a credit scene, but it doesn't feel like that because it's not a denouement. It's not an extra scene. It's a next time on .hack, which is not the same thing, right? That's not this story. That's just a commercial for the next one, which was hype.
Yeah, and I think the ending was especially striking because this game has not had a tendency to under-explain or leave things unsaid.
Very good point.
Say it like it always takes as long as it can take to do things. So the fact that it did this like very sharp ending
was
really surprising.
Oh yeah.
And I really liked it.
Yeah, it was surprisingly good.
I don't know if I would have liked it as much if I didn't get all 3 games plus an epilogue for $12.
yes.
Yeah.
Although even when the original games came out, at least, like, don't get me wrong, having to pay money for the other game would be annoying, but at least it was like, see you in like 3 months. Because I'm pretty sure the games came out like really real fast. But,
I think it was 6 months, and so the story was over in a year and a half.
And you know what this scene really shows? It really shows how all you gotta do to make me go from not giving a shit about something to giving a shit about something is just some goddamn good filmmaking. That's all you need. I don't even care that the characters are dumb and the plot is annoying and nothing matters. I was invested because, like, that's all it takes. If it looks cool and has panache and has, if it's got shots and edits, and if it's got music and mise en scène, and oh boy, and if it's got tone, and if it's got angles, you know I'm on board with that shit. Lines, deliveries.
It reminds me of the ending to Bravely Default 1, because the game Bravely Default, gameplay wise and writing wise, starts to wear out its welcome partway through, and I really was like not caring about it at all. And then the final scene was a kick-ass cliffhanger and like really well shot, like it's like a 360 video that you move your whole 3DS around to watch it, and it's like super fucking hype. And I was instantly on board for the second one, even though I had been complaining loudly on Facebook for the past like 20 hours of game. I was like, oh no, never mind, fuck it, this game's great. This kick-ass ending makes me excited for the next one.
Like, I am easily pleased, okay? You just gotta have some good shots and some good graphics. Not even for the whole game, just for the ending. Like, it's not that hard, folks. And yet so many games can't manage to make that happen.
Yeah, like for the majority of this game, I was thinking my takeaway for this volume would be, I enjoyed a number of things about it, and I'm not upset that I'm going to keep playing it for the podcast. But if it were not for the podcast, I probably would not keep playing to Volume 2. But now I'm like, I want to see what they can do with Volume 2 now, because they showed me they have something up their sleeve.
Yeah,
and
also,
like knowing that there's 3 original in the trilogy. Act 2 is when like the shit always hits the fan, and like we're ready for the shit to hit the fan at this point. So I'm sure the second one will probably be a lot more of the Ida and the Tri-Edge and the all that crazy.
Like, who knows? If we want to be super generous, maybe this series was just going for like a really slow burn and they didn't do a good job of it. But now the burn's over and we'll see what, like, you know what I mean? Like, I can forgive them with that. It's like, no, the first game's going to be intentionally chill because we're setting all this stuff up. I'm like, okay, yeah, well, it was boring, but like, that's valid. That's a valid thing to attempt to do. We'll see.
And to be fair to it, if it was going for a slow burn, it was doing that before Twin Peaks: The Return came out, and we all saw that. Which, I mean, after you've seen Twin Peaks: The Return, any other slow burn is going to feel pretty shitty in comparison.
Yeah, especially because Twin Peaks: The Return is a slow burn and is about as slow of a burn as this, despite it being a TV show and this being a video game. I mean, in terms of hours before something happens.
Yes.
But yeah, that's the end of
that's the
this game.
That's that's all, folks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did any of the next time on .hack scenes, do you remember any of them, or did any of them stand out? I don't. I just thought that they all looked cool. I don't remember anything about them.
Yeah, they looked real cool. I remember there being something about it that I'm like, ooh, that's interesting that this character is getting like FaceTime in the trailer, but I don't remember who it was, what it was.
Very like abstract and fast, and like
characters
evoking
intoning
emotions
things.
more than conveying information.
Oh, it had some stuff in it, and I got this from the game. I got this from the ending as well. With the ending this week, and also the next time on video, for the first time in the series, in the game so far, I'm getting the feeling that like, oh, Ovon's probably a bad guy. Actually,
Oh yeah, I've been feeling that for a while.
I've been feeling that since the game started.
I was definitely
Not that long for me, but
I was definitely seeing him as like basically an Aaron type character who was being obnoxiously obtuse, but like was generally a mentor figure. So it wasn't until this week that I was like, oh no, he's being weird. He's doing stuff that ain't good. And then the next time on, I think had him doing some very villainous things that sounded very interesting. So that's cool.
yeah, I haven't trusted him for a little bit.
Yeah.
But should we move on to memorable moments?
Yeah, let's do so.
Yeah, let's listen to the Tri-Edge fight, and then we will talk about our memorable moments. I wanted to make sure that we have a music break because the Tri-Edge fight music is real good.
Yeah.
All right, memorable moments. Maddie, you go first.
Sure. I've got a big one I want to holler about later, but I'm going to share a couple of very small ones that are just like jokes, right? First of all, one of the emails you get as soon as you exit after the tournament, remember how Antares wasn't commentating that tournament, even though he was supposed to be? Turns out he was having a problem with his internet connection, which owns. I love that. Also, when you're having your big fight with Adelie, with her saying, I want you to see me and recognize me, there's just some lines that I think out of context are really funny and relatable. I almost want to like tweet them. One of them, Adelie goes, "That's why I got the wrong impression. I know better than anyone how big of an idiot I am." And then he says a line I like a lot, which is, "If you keep calling yourself an idiot, you'll become one someday." And I'm like, that's the dream. I'm working on it. I'm getting there. Bimbo's rights, all I'm saying. Wait. Am I seeing that? Did Kun and Pai show up for the final battle?
Yeah, they go to the wall with you and get sucked into the thing with you, and you fight Tri-Edge with them.
Oh, okay. I have a screenshot of the three of them fighting Avatar version of Tri-Edge, and I was just like, oh, I didn't remember them being there. Dope.
Oh, wait. In Avatar version of Tri-Edge?
They're like running towards the Avatar version of them.
They are there, like,
before you go into Avatar mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Gotcha.
so it's like in the video game that Maddie, Bernard, and Sam are playing, they are not there. But in the video game that Hiseo is playing, they're there.
Gotcha.
So it's like they're not fighting the battle with you, but in the real events that happened, is they were also having Avatar battles with Tri-Edge.
Also, funny little glitch in the game, or not glitch, but just like a bit of a programming oversight. After you finish the game, I don't know if you can keep playing, like if you can go to the world. I didn't try to because that'd be weird.
You can.
want to do that. I figured. But what you can do is, you do load up your game and you can go to your computer. So at this point, you can immediately start the next game and import your save. But I opened up the same game for some reason. And anyway, during the whole game, you can email people back and forth. And I've been having an email conversation with Adelie where basically I was just trying to be nice to her. So I don't know why, but I guess I got to talking about her. Maybe she said something about cooking or something. And I decided to encourage her. So I said something like, what's your favorite food? Oh, no. I sent her a postcard. And the postcard was like, what's your favorite food? And then she was like, aw, thanks. And then she tells you, she says it's beef bowls, which, same. But then you get to respond. And I said a response like I basically continued being interested in what she had to say. So I, asked some other benign question about food, right? So I do that, and that was before I fought the final battle. And then after the whole fucking game is over, and she just got goddamn murked by an evil computer virus, I go back to my desktop and it says I have an email, and I open the email and it's just Adelie being like, "Oh yeah, I like this kind of beef bowl. I like this kind of beef bowl. I like this kind of beef bowl."
I want a beef bowl.
And it's fine.
I think it's one of those post games that's supposed to take place before the final boss.
Oh, probably, yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So it's
this is content that makes more sense if you haven't beaten the game already. But yeah, so it's did she just respond from beyond the Digigrave?
Yes.
Anyway, other than the thing I want to holler about, that's all of mine. I must have cut out. I was saying I'm done. I must have cut out. I was saying I'm done.
So I didn't really have any memorable moments that I didn't already talk about. Mainly it was just the filmmaking got real cool at the end, and I liked that.
Yeah, I have a couple, because your party, you have to go around and talk to all of the people that showed up to your party, and a couple of them will have an actual cutscene, but the majority of them are just little dialogue boxes. And so if you go and you talk to Gabby goes, "Pretty great fights, fun to watch."
I love Gabby.
I love Gabby so much. And then if you go find Antara is just "Man, tonight's drink tastes especially good." And Aseo's like, "Wait, are you drunk in real life?" And he goes, "Yup."
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then Salvador. So after you beat the game, you have new stuff to look at and watch and read and stuff. And before I get into that, I wanted to talk about this since the first episode, but there are two characters that are my OTP on the forums, and they've been there from the very beginning. One, his name is Cocky Leader, and the other one's name is Ohm, the Greek letter Ohm Rice, but Cocky Leader, every time Ohm Rice pops up and it's like, "Hey guys, what's up? I'm Ohm Rice and I want to talk about blah 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 today," Cocky Leader will show up and be like, "What's up, Butt Rice?" And it's every single forum post in the entire game will have them two show up, and Butt Rice gets so mad. It's "It's Ohm Rice, not Butt Rice. It is Ohm." And he's like, "Well, every time I see it, I'm going to say Butt Rice." And it's a great running joke. I love it so much. But so you beat the game, and there's more stuff to go and do. And the one of them you can watch is a new Salvador Ihara Online Jack episode. And if you remember, like I talked about last week, the last episode of Online Jack, he's going to this kid's house that has doll syndrome. And when he gets in the room, the kid has logged into the world. His computer screen say Ida, 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 like the fucking beginning of Xenogears. And he turns around and says Sakaki, and then it cuts to black, and that's the end of it. So Salvador is trying to see what all of that is about, and he follows this kid to the hospital. And when he goes to the hospital, he runs into, first off, he goes to the hospital and he stares at a lot of nurses' tits, and it's hilarious. But and all the nurses like hold their clipboards like in front of them, like, who the fuck is this Cosmo ass man in here? But so he finally gets like runs into the mom and is like, hey, let me interview your kid. And she's like, get the fuck out of here. But right as she does that, another nurse runs up and is like, your son is missing. And you're like, what the hell? And so Salvador runs in there with his camera, and on the wall, written in blood, is Skaith, Magus, Innis, and a bunch of other names written in blood on the wall, and the kid's not there, and it cuts to black again.
That's dope.
Which is, yeah, love that shit. No idea what it fucking means, but I'm excited to...
It's funny that some of the most foreboding and ominous and, like, build-up of, like, dread stuff is happening in these videos instead of the main game.
The game.
That's very interesting.
But yeah, it was real fucking good. I highly recommend the forums to this game. But we will talk more about the forums and lore and shit next week, and just do a big expanded .hack Volume 1 .hack GU Volume 1 Rebirth universe episode next week. Just talk about cool expanded stuff, since this is LongCast, and we deserve to, or you guys deserve for us to cover all of the nitty gritty. So we'll do that next week.
Oh yeah, I have one thing I want to holler about real quick since you're done.
Go for it.
I absolutely was in love with the island you go to for the ceremony. From an architectural and visual standpoint, I thought it was absolutely beautiful. It's just like, it's very like N64. It's just kind of hovering. It's just like, it's sticking up out of the water in a way that is completely unrealistic. Like, there's no ground. It's all just like a slab of concrete sticking out of the water. Oh, I guess it reminded me of the cathedral on the moon in Mario Odyssey, kind of. It's just this very stark, featureless building. And you have this patio and this circle area and the gazebo, and then a little down dock with the little boat. And then in the back, there's just a big cathedral. And you can't go into it. Or sorry, cathedral's a strong word. It's a church. And it's got a tall steeple. Actually, not really a steeple. It's got a tower with a couple floors and a bell tower, right? That's what we call that. And you can't go into it, and there's like no lore. Maybe there is if I look, but I don't know. You don't know what this place is, what it's for. You barely interact with it. But it's like really gorgeous. It's just this really, again, it's like, it's so low poly. It's so like early PS2, maybe even late PlayStation, like design of a little bitty area, right? And off in the distance, you can see the water meeting the sky, and it's kind of dusk colored. Off in the distance, you can see the town you just came from, and it reflects in the water. And it also is kind of sticking up out of nowhere. Like, nothing in this game feels like a real place, but here this is like a good thing and not a bad thing. You're just this weird island in the middle of nowhere, and off in the distance, you're seeing this weird city, also kind of in the middle of nowhere. Let's see. I'm looking at pictures of it. It's got these spotlights that go into the air in a way that is cute. The gazebo has a beautiful view of a very crescent moon. Looks like it's waning. Let's see. Yeah, the whole island itself is just concrete. Like, it's not like it's resting on ground. It's just like concrete goes down into the water. I'm just going through every single picture. Oh, there's a sunset. I said it was dusk earlier, but the pictures I had earlier didn't actually show the sun. They were facing the other direction. It is a beautiful sunset. The sun is dappling the fuck out of that water. and more Crescent Moon, and hear the dialogue. Oh, after Adelie says that she and Haseo aren't really very close at all and it makes her sad, Ovan says, but even so, you still want to get closer to Haseo? And I'm like, yeah, Ovan sees the problem here. Ovan is like, why do you still want to get closer to Haseo? What is wrong with you? But she's just like, yes. Anyway, I just wanted to gush about that a little bit. It's a gorgeous piece of geometric location. So, yep.
Yeah, it's real good. But yeah, join us next week, and we will talk about all the reading parts. And as Scarlett puts it, because every time she's playing a game, she gets into a cutscene. She's mad because she has to do the reading parts, and she wants me to do them for her. But we'll do all the reading parts next week, and then we will get started right away on part 2 because we have to, because our good friend paid for 2 entire episodes back to back.
Yep.
Because,
and also, this is definitely the best time to be doing them. So
yeah, we don't got any outsides to be doing, so might as well just be playing some. Might as well add playing a fake MMO with my fake friends onto my daily grind of playing a real MMO with my fake friends.
Oh yeah, that's a cool thing that I was going to make. You joked earlier about video chatting with someone online. You know what? If this whole, I know it's going to, as this COVID thing goes longer and longer, and I think in many ways does change our culture and the way we interact with other human beings as we get used to this new lifestyle, I bet eventually we're going to get so used to Zoom calls that it is going to be like, I'm going to play a video game where I can pretend to Zoom call people. I foresee that.
It's called Telling Lies, and it's really, really good.
Oh yeah, I should play that.
We should play Telling Lies.
I probably won't.
Okay, Papa.
But yeah, join us next week, and then the week after that, and then probably 4 more weeks after that, and then we'll be caught up, and we can open up commissions again, so you can make us play some weird ass shit, which I've been missing. Just because like we played Higurashi for our first ever commission, and so I'm sure there's going to be some weird ass shit that Matt will want us to play, like probably a Metal Max
make
game.
Us play just the most egregious nonsense. I welcome it.
Yeah, but for RPG Book Club Longcast, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm Maddie Grace Webben.
I'm David Bernard Hauk.
Be excellent to each other and party on, dudes.
From .hack, but I couldn't think of anything. Goodbye.